Well, happy Friday. Thanks for joining us today. It's been an interesting week, to say the least. We've had interruptions from holidays. We've had government reports come out at unusual times. We've had wild swings in the markets all week long. And already today, we are seeing evidence of that starting in the overnight hours. And here to help us analyze what to expect in today's trade, a guy that's got his work cut out for him, Rich Nelson of Allendale Incorporated, joins us right now. All right, Rich, thanks for taking a look at the Friday market activity with me here. We're going to take a look at some export sales numbers that just came out from USDA. We also got some overnight export sales numbers that just came out, hot off the press. And then we had a big turnaround in the overnight trade. So first, let's look at the weekly export sales numbers if we could. We'll run down these. And in the corn this time around, we had a total of 214,800 tons when the trade was looking for, I think in the low end, about 350,000. So that had to be a disappointment. Soybeans, 438,700. That was right in the range of estimates. Soybean meal, 80,200. That was in the range of estimates. Soybean oil, 6,600. That was below the range of estimates there. The wheat, 375,300 tons. That was on the lower end of the range of estimates there. So we also have to throw into the mix a news item here that just came in off the wire. 143,000 tons sold overnight. It was corn that was sold to Mexico for split delivery. 11,000 tons for the current marketing year, or the old crop marketing year, and 132,000 tons for next marketing year, or for the current year that's growing, 132,000 tons. So that all went to Mexico. Then you and I were talking before we came live on the air here, Rich. When I got up this morning and got ready for work, we had the overnight grain markets. Corn and soybeans were down 1 to 2. We had the wheat market down 8 to 10. And if we can take a peek here at our current Globex trade and look at the corn, soybeans, and wheat, we've had quite a comeback. September corn now 2 3/4 higher on the soybean trade here, Rich. We now have the August contract 3 1/4 higher, so that came off its lows by about 6 cents. But the wheat, what about the wheat? My goodness, Chicago wheat, September, had a low of 530. Now it's at 537 1/4. It's still down 1 3/4. Kansas City wheat on September overnight, down 3 3/4 now at 542 3/4. The Minneapolis wheat had come off its lows. And check this out. September had a low of 755 overnight. Now we're at 789, exclamation point. That's 20 cents higher. All right. Any guess as to what's going on here, Rich?
I think a lot of people are probably watching these changes as far as the weather model runs. A lot of people wondering about the 4 different updates we get each day. One thing we're seeing a lot is a lot of discussion about whether we should be focusing on the European, American, or in fact in the office we're even talking about the Canadian runs as well. But I think the main point for us is as we creep closer towards this pollination picture, which for the Western Corn Belt really gets going in that 18th to 25th time frame, we're now actually getting to some forecasts which are covering that exact same time frame. So I think a lot of speculation about the model runs is a big issue, and certainly for right now, at least they are impacting or holding a little heat here for us. And
you actually did your own calculations in-house, right, on the delayed pollination dates this year?
That sure is right. We do a whole day-by-day estimate here, and this is based off of emergence dates. And if you use emergence dates, there's only about a 7-day range in generally when the pollination actually happens. So we might be off maybe by about 3 days at best.
Okay, with that being said, we'll come back here in a moment and we'll pick up where we left off and then talk about our livestock trade too, which in its own right had some volatility yesterday. We're talking with Rich Nelson, and we'll come back in just a moment with even more market info. Don't go anywhere. I'm pleased to be joined by Rich Nelson of Allendale Incorporated in McHenry, Illinois, and we have been talking in part about the weekly export sales numbers that came out. On the grain side, it didn't mean a whole lot today, maybe a little disappointing in the corn. But on the livestock side, we have beef and pork exports too. And let's take a closer look here, Rich, at the export sales reported this past week. On the beef, a total of 17,000 tons, and that was actually up 52% compared to a week ago. It was up 36% from the 4-week average. If you look at the pork, though, we had a total of 13,200 metric tons this time around. That happened to be down 50% from last week, and it was also down 39% from the 4-week average. Well, you combine that with the steep losses that we saw in the futures trade yesterday. How much pressure is that going to put on this hog market here today, do you think?
I certainly will think it is something we got to look at. Last Thursday's sale was an amazing number as far as the pork side. You're looking at that last Thursday's sale, 26,000 tons, and now we're looking at 13,000 tons. So this is a big drop, not just on a week-to-week basis, but also year-to-year. This new number is 20% under last year, so we probably should see a little pressure, maybe a 20 to 40 cent lower trade as far as the opening on the hog side here today.
What about that reversal yesterday? Did that do quite a bit of chart damage, or did it do any damage at all?
I think for right now, a lot of people saying as long as we're still at these near these contract high marks, that we're probably still going to make some very clear points about this market for the foreseeable short term. This is still a bull market, and we cannot call a top here just yet. As we said, though, we've been waiting for a top for 3 weeks now, but it should happen anytime here.
All right, what about the wholesale trade yesterday? If we take a look at our beef cutout values as reported by USDA yesterday afternoon, on the choice cuts, wow, big drop, down $2.53 at 220.05. Select cuts down $1.56 at 203.76, so they narrowed up that spread once again. That spread, by the way, is down to just $16 and some change right now. Really narrowed up from over $30 here a couple of weeks ago. On the other hand, you had the pork carcass cutout values that came out yesterday afternoon, and now they are showing a change of 57 cents. I believe that's to the downside, though. It should be a little bit weaker yesterday. In fact, all the primal cuts look like they are down a little bit yesterday. So weakness all around in the pork and the beef wholesale trade. I guess that's going to knock one leg of support out from under that cattle trade today.
It sure is. So in just 2 weeks of trading here, or 2 days of trading here for the week, we've got losses of $4.68 for choice, $4.66 for select. So yes, we certainly should see maybe a little more pressure as far as this packer interest in the buying side. Trading cash here yesterday, 117, 118. Talk of 119 bids. But bottom line, even though they did have a rising cash market yesterday in the trade session, still this is rising still, but a lower trade for the week as a whole, though.
Have you had a chance to see any penny calls this morning on the livestock trade?
As far as the hogs, we would call maybe 20 to 40 cents lower. As far as the cattle end thing, we just call it mixed here for right now. I think a lot of people are still keeping a very bearish viewpoint, but still holding on to this idea that packers are holding a good margin right now, and they do have the potential to pay up, or at least pay steady money even. But for right now, I think we'll just see steady for the cattle, maybe 20 to 40 cents lower for the hogs.
Okay, well, thank you, Rich. I appreciate it very much. Rich Nelson of Allendale Incorporated in McHenry, Illinois. And Mark, I wanted to point out one thing. Next week already, we have a big crop production report on Wednesday. So not that far away, and that's coming up down the pike, too. They may be getting positioned here in the next couple of days.
Yeah, watching a lot of weather here. He's talked about European markets, Canada models, U.S. models. So
they're into everything.
People earn their money these days, don't they? Thanks, Mark.